What's up, Weekend Warriors? We have made it to week one predictions. I gave you guys a little bit of a teaser hype video slash draft recap the other day just to wet the whistle, and had a lot of content to cover. Wanted to set some storylines up, so that's behind us now, and we are officially in week one. And the season's starting hot and heavy. There's news. There's stuff to talk about. Got a big Thursday night matchup tomorrow. One of my NFL picks already not looking so good. Season hasn't already started. That's what you get for giving out picks early, Ty. What are you going to learn? Look, guys, to say that I'm excited for the season to start is an understatement. We've been starved for football for a while, and it has officially somehow still snuck up on us. That the season literally is here. It is upon us. So, a lot of storylines, a lot of week one drama already. I want to get into the predictions. So again, for those keeping score at home, 2 NFL picks every week from myself. 1 Thursday Night Football pick, 1 other pick. I've given out my Thursday Night Football pick already. It was Chiefs team total over 30.5. That was prior to the Travis Kelce might not play news. He still might not play. The football guy in me thinks that the Chiefs and Mahomes will be fine. But there's a small percentage of me, it's like, wow, Travis Kelce does make this team go, and look, the Lions just beat him outright on Thursday Night Football. That could happen. You can get that line that I put out at 30.5, probably less now. Kelce may still play, for all we know. But I'm sticking with my pick. I gave a pick. It could be 32.5 now, and I would have gotten the benefit of it being 30.5. It went the other way. I made my bed. I'm going to lay in it. That's still my first official pick. My second official pod pick I will give out a little later. We're going to have a new segment on this show called Max Picks. She will debut as a special guest, and she will pick her picks, and we'll see how her percentage is versus my percentage. She will not be on the show today, unfortunately, but I promise she will be worked in and she will have her own segment. Now, moving into the week one matchups. Let's rip the Band-Aid off. I usually do my prediction last, but it's just too much of a segue to talk about the Kelce news and not bring up my matchup with Chris Tiddy. It's a big matchup. Me and Chris, rivals. Chris, we know the storyline from last year. This year, he doesn't love his team. Last year, he was kind of recliner all the way up to the finals. Diggs and Allen just kind of carried him. This year, he's got 2 pretty big question marks week one. Kelce, obviously. So, let's back up a minute. Chris texted me yesterday, hey, Kelce injured, can you believe it? I can't believe it, blah, blah, blah. I sent him about 3 hours later, the ACL is intact. It's just some swelling, and he's questionable for week one. Chris is like, why you sending me bad news? I'm like, Chris, the guy's knee could be broken, as you say. And I send you news that he might be okay for week one. If not, he's going to be fine. And I send you bad news. Chris, I send you good news, buddy. But with him being questionable and Terry McLaurin being questionable, it's hard to not like my chances week one. I was going to pick myself anyway before this happened. And again, my team, I don't love my running back situation, especially out of the gate with Javonte potentially being limited and Dalvin with some tough matchups. I will get Kamara back later on. Lawrence against the Colts. And then my pack of receivers, tough to like A.J. Brown in New England, but he's still A.J. Brown. And then you have Diggs and Metcalf. Hopefully Mark Andrews plays. That could be a question mark for me. We all know I'm picking myself. I think Chris, I said after the draft I didn't love his team. That was before Kelce was nicked up. If Kelce's nicked up and doesn't play, Chris currently does not have a backup tight end on his roster. I wouldn't either if I had Travis Kelce, but the season comes in and hits you in the face sometimes. We said this at the draft. Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. A hyperextension of Kelce's knee in practice 2 games before Thursday. That's I've landed the first blow. The NFL has landed the first blow. So my first prediction is I'm taking myself. Look, I had an okay season last year. Definitely not my best. Won the championship the year before. I'm coming back, boys. the big dog bites. I'm ready to take this season by the horns and make a run at things. So, Chris, I'm coming for you week 1. You're projected to win right now, but I disagree. The Source over Chris T in week 1. Second matchup of the week. Watson's Bath and Spa versus Sunday Shenanigans. Terry and Jake. I had good things to say about both of these teams coming into the season after the draft. And really like how Jake kind of went 0 RB-ish and ended up with much better running backs than I did with Akers, Madison, and Connor. His receivers aren't as good, but Hill, Adams, and Allen is very good. And he also has Mike Evans on his bench. I do like Terry's team. I've talked about that. Josh Allen Monday night. Amon-Ra St. Brown Thursday against the Chiefs. That's tasty. He could get off to a very good start. I'm going to have a little bit of a bold prediction. This is going to segue into my NFL pick. I love Christian McCaffrey this season. I think the Niners are tying their cart to a Brock Purdy horse that I don't know how hot of a start he's going to get out to. And I'm willing to be wrong about this. But I think at Pittsburgh, week 1, Purdy kind of getting his sea legs. I think McCaffrey, he'll be fine. He'll get 15, 16 points. And Debo, both owned by Terry, are going to have a lackluster, slow start in Pittsburgh. And I like Pittsburgh on the money line this week at home against San Francisco. But I'm going to take the points. And that is my second pick of the pod. Sometimes I sneak them in there. And I'm just going to double check because that line had moved. Yeah, it's 2.5. And I love that line for Pittsburgh. I just think they're going to upset the Niners, and is it really an upset? So that's my second official pick on the pod, Pittsburgh plus 2.5. And just segueing into that matchup with Jake and Terry, I think Lamar, who I don't love, gets out to an extremely hot start at home against a Houston defense. Jake has Lamar, and I think that's probably going to be the difference in this matchup. I'm going Jake over Terry. I almost skipped ahead to the matchup of the week. Don't get ahead of yourself, Ty. Joe Cool has a little lamb versus the Catalina Wine Mixin. The Catalina Wine Mixin, great name, much better than Brett trying to drink my milkshake. Brett, I've been kind of poking fun of him a little bit, saying he has a knack of drafting injured players. And kind of on the same lines as Chris T, I'm worried about Brett's team here week 1. He's already projected to lose by 6. And just going into his team, that's with Kupp projected 15.2. I'll stake my reputation right now. Kupp is not playing week 1. I don't think he's going to play week 2. He might end up on short-term IR. And I think that team is going to be a mess without him. And then Kittle, who is probably the most injury-prone player in football, maybe next to Raheem Mostert. I don't think he's going to play. And if he does play, is he going to be productive? I just called for maybe a down game for San Francisco here week 1. Brett has firepower otherwise. Fields, ticking time bomb, 40-point burger in his bag at all times. Barkley at home against Dallas in a division matchup. Tough defense, but he's going to get fed. Mixon against the Browns. There's some players on this team, and then I'm talking about Pittsburgh. He's got Deontay and Najee. I do think that's going to be a little bit of a dogfight, low-scoring game, but those guys could put up some points in that matchup. Long story short, it's just Dean has much safer options. Lamb in that same Giants matchup. I like Eckler, obviously, in Miami in a high-scoring game. Joe Burrow, who is another guy that has a Q next to his name but is presumably healthy. With the Brett question marks, I have no choice but to take Dean here in week 1. I think Brett's team is very good otherwise, and if those guys get healthy, which I think they will, but he just might not get off to a hot start, which is important in fantasy. So, going Dean over Brett. Let me just check my notes and make sure I still had that. I did. Next matchup, and it's the matchup of the week runner-up, the champion versus the Transponsters. Malone's picture, incredible. He's bold, man. He's letting it all hang out. No pun intended. Talked some crap on Brett in baseball. It backfired. Now he's got the picture with the spread eagle going on. I mean, enjoy it. Talk that crap while you can. I respect it. But week 1 against an Otley team who has something to prove, drafting from the pitcher's mound in T-ball. He has a good team. I like Otley's team. I said it the other day. He has some injury concerns, but unlike some of the other injury concerns I brought up, he kind of, got some of these guys at a value and knew that he was going to have problems with Jonathan Taylor and Jeff Wilson Jr. But Mahomes out of the gate Thursday night against the defending champ Malone. Now, I will say, if Kelsey is banged up or limited, obviously not good for Mahomes. But I think I said the most likely situation is Mahomes takes care of business. Bijan at home against Carolina, I think he comes out with a bang for Otley. James Cook, I love James Cook. I think he has a nice night against the Jets. And then Ridley in that matchup, and also Ingram in that matchup against the Colts. We got Lockett, who, as a flex player, great flex player against a bad Rams secondary, and with JSN banged up. I like Otley's chances here week 1. Malone's team, Herbert in that same Miami matchup, I love it. Pollard against the Giants. I like the Giants in that game, but Pollard will get his. Stevenson against the Eagles, that doesn't look like a very good matchup to me. Chase should be fine against Cleveland. And then, Ayuk in that same Niners game. This is actually a really close one. I could easily see Malone beating Otley. But the way that our league has kind of gone, if you've been following along, when someone gets up on that horse or reaches the top of the mountain, they seem to get slapped with a slice of humble pie, usually pretty quickly. And I think Otley, who is due, is going to serve that humble pie to Malone this week. And I think the champion is going to start off 0-1. So you came for some bold predictions here, guys. You got them. The commish kind of going out on a little bit of a limb here in week 1. And I'm taking Otley over Malone. And that brings me to the matchup of the week. The championship matchup 3 years ago. Pearson, Fantasy Frankenstein, versus Kev, Pearson's father, still has that name. So Born Loser, Deadbeat Dad versus Pearson's father. And I've said very, very good things about Pearson's team so far. Pearson's back to watching the podcast, which is great. It's great for the league. Now, instead of 8 views, I will get 9. Thank you, Pearson. And, these two, to say that they each want to win this matchup is an understatement. We have Watson for Pearson, who I'm on record saying I don't love, combined with Cooper. At home against Cincinnati, though, this team could get off to a hot start. That it's a prove-it matchup, and those guys could connect. I don't hate those guys this week. I think that they're actually a pretty good play. Pearson has a love infatuation with Tyler Higbee. He loves the name Tyler. Garrett Wilson, Monday night, at home against Buffalo. Love it. Justin Jefferson, at home. Last year, first week at home, week 1, he had 184 yards and 2 touchdowns. I take the under on this year, but that is not a bad way to start. Kev's team predicted 10 points less than Pearson. Why? Well, Gibbs' first game as a debut in Kansas City. I actually think he has a pretty good game. They're going to be behind in throwing. I bet he will score. If you want to put some money on anytime touchdown score, I think he'll get in there. Hurts and Devonta Smith in New England. I guess they think that's not going to be the best matchup. And then, oh, by the way, the daunted Atlanta Falcons passing attack with Kyle Pitts and Drake London. Again, there's some capped upside there. I don't want to harp on it. But, listen, conventional wisdom here tells me to take Pearson. But I think, and I do think Pearson will have a good season, but I think Kevin is going to come out and do a little shocker surprise here in week 1. I think Nick Chubb gets it done. And how funny would it be for Kyle Pitts to score a touchdown and be the reason that he beats Pearson in week 1? To just get Pearson just a little bit on tilt early on. I'm taking Kevin in a little bit of an upset. So, again, you have my picks in the NFL. I hope I don't start in a hole because I try to take that Chiefs line a little early. We'll have max picks on this show. Gentlemen, it is going to be an awesome season. I wish you all luck in the first week and hope your team stay healthy. Chris, good luck to you, my friend. Commish out.